The night is quiet over the wide valley of the Nile. The last warmth of the day still rests inside the mud brick walls, but the air has begun to soften. Somewhere beyond the sleeping houses, gentle water moves through the darkness. It slips around reeds that bend only a little beneath the weight of the evening breeze. The sound is steady, slow, almost like breathing. Above the river, thousands of stars fill the clear Egyptian sky. They seem brighter here than anywhere else, reflected in the calm water until the heavens and the river almost become one. Most homes have already gone dark. Only a few small oil lamps continue to glow behind narrow doorways. Their light reaches only a short distance before disappearing into the quiet streets. Sand lies undisturbed along the paths between houses. The day's footprints remain untouched until morning. A dog shifts in its sleep. Somewhere farther away, a donkey lets out a tired breath before becoming silent again. Nothing hurries this night. Everything waits. Close to the river lives a farmer whose life is much like thousands of others spread along the banks of the Nile. History remembers the names of mighty kings, the builders of temples, and the rulers whose monuments reached toward the sky. Yet most people who lived in this ancient land left behind no names at all. They planted grain. They carried water. They baked bread. They repaired roofs after heavy rains. They watched children grow. They grew older beneath the same bright sun that still rises over Egypt today. Our journey follows one of these ordinary lives. No great battle waits for him. No throne calls his name. Instead, his days are shaped by the rhythm of the river, the changing seasons, and the simple work that feeds his family. Long before dawn, while most of the village still sleeps, he slowly opens his eyes. The room around him is dark except for the fading glow of a small oil lamp that burned through much of the night. The flame is weak now, dancing quietly whenever a soft breeze slips through the doorway. His home is small. The walls are made from bricks shaped by hand using Nile mud mixed with straw. The rough surface holds the warmth gathered during yesterday's sunlight. The roof above is supported by wooden beams covered with reeds and packed earth. The floor beneath him is cool. His sleeping place is simple. A woven reed mat rests upon the hard ground. A folded linen cloth serves as a pillow. It is not especially soft, but after a full day of labor, even a simple place to rest feels welcome. For a few moments he remains still. There is no reason to rush. Morning always comes at the same steady pace. Outside, the first birds have not yet begun their songs. Even the insects seem quieter during this gentle hour before sunrise. His wife is already awake. Without speaking, she quietly kneels beside a small clay oven near the corner of the room. Yesterday's ashes are carefully moved aside. Dry reeds and small pieces of wood are arranged with practiced hands. Soon a tiny flame begins to grow, casting warm orange light across the walls. The smell of smoke slowly fills the room. It is a familiar smell. It has greeted nearly every morning of their lives. Soon another scent joins it. Fresh dough, prepared before sleeping, is shaped into flat rounds and placed near the heat. Grain from the previous harvest has been ground into flour using heavy stone grinders that require patience more than strength. Bread is never hurried. Everything takes time. Outside, the eastern sky begins to lose a little of its darkness. The stars fade one by one. The farmer steps quietly into the cool morning air. The village is slowly waking. Another man appears from a nearby doorway carrying a clay jar toward the river. A young girl follows her mother with a woven basket balanced carefully against her side. Two fishermen pass without speaking, their nets hanging across their shoulders. Everyone already knows what this day will ask of them. There is comfort in that certainty. No one wonders what tomorrow's work might be. The Nile decides much of life. The river has always decided. It brings water. It leaves rich black soil. It feeds the grain. It feeds the cattle. It feeds the people. Without the river, the wide desert would quietly reclaim every field. The farmer walks along a narrow path leading toward the edge of the cultivated land. Sand slowly gives way to darker earth, still damp from irrigation channels that carried water during the previous evening. His sandals leave gentle marks upon the ground. The air smells of wet soil mixed with fresh reeds. A few palms stand quietly nearby, their long leaves barely moving against the pale sky. As daylight slowly spreads across the valley, shapes hidden by darkness become clear. Fields stretch outward in neat rows. Barley sways gently. Emmer wheat waits for harvest. Small vegetable gardens surround many homes, filled with onions, beans, garlic, cucumbers, and herbs that flavor the family's simple meals. Nothing here feels grand. Everything feels lived in. Children begin to appear. Some carry small baskets. Others guide goats from simple shelters made from reeds and wood. Their voices remain soft. The day has only just begun. Soon the first rays of sunlight reach the tops of the distant cliffs beyond the river. Warm golden light slowly pours across the valley, touching roofs, trees, boats, and fields with equal kindness. The farmer pauses for only a moment. He watches the sunlight spread across the water. This quiet moment belongs only to him. Before the heavy work begins, before sweat gathers beneath the linen wrapped around his shoulders, before the heat settles over every stone and every field, there is this small space between darkness and daylight. It lasts only a few minutes. Yet perhaps it is the calmest part of every day. He bends down and presses his hand gently into the rich soil. It feels cool, moist, full of life brought by the river's patient flooding months before. He knows this earth better than any map. He knows which places dry first beneath the summer sun. He knows where birds search for insects after sunrise. He knows where water lingers longest after irrigation. These things are never written down. They are learned slowly. Season after season. Year after year. His father taught him many of them. His grandfather likely taught his father the same lessons beneath another sunrise, standing in almost the very same field. And one day, if the gods allow many peaceful years, he will quietly pass those same lessons to his own children, not through speeches or grand ceremonies, but through ordinary mornings exactly like this one, where the Nile flows gently beside them, and another calm day begins beneath the endless Egyptian sky. The morning grows brighter with quiet confidence. The soft colors of dawn slowly fade into gentle shades of gold. The light spreads across the fields without hurry, touching every blade of barley and every narrow irrigation channel. The village behind the farmer begins to fill with the sounds of another ordinary day. None of the sounds are loud. They rise together little by little, like the river itself. A wooden door opens. Someone shakes a woven mat free of yesterday's dust. A child laughs for only a moment before being called back to help with the morning chores. The smell of fresh bread drifts through the still air. Nearby, a woman grinds grain between two heavy stones. The slow turning creates a steady rhythm that has echoed through Egyptian homes for countless generations. The sound is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. It is simply part of life, as familiar as the rising sun. The farmer walks farther into his field. His feet know every path without needing to search. Even in darkness he could find his way across these narrow ridges of earth. The land has become part of him, and he has become part of the land. He carries only a few simple tools. A wooden hoe rests across one shoulder. A woven basket hangs from his hand. Nothing he owns is decorated with great beauty. Every object has been shaped for work. Every handle bears the smooth marks left by years of steady use. He pauses beside a small canal. The water moves slowly, guided by careful hands that dug these channels long ago. Tiny ripples reflect the morning light, making the surface sparkle for only a heartbeat before becoming calm once more. He kneels. One hand touches the damp soil. The earth is ready. There is comfort in this simple knowledge. Some seasons bring worry. Some years the flood rises too little. Other years it climbs too high. But today the soil feels generous. The Nile has once again shared its gift. The farmer begins his work. Each movement is slow and practiced. The hoe breaks the surface just enough to loosen the earth around young plants. He works carefully. There is no need for force. Good farming comes from patience more than strength. A white bird lands nearby. It walks between the rows with graceful steps, searching for insects disturbed by the turning soil. The farmer watches it for a moment. He has seen these birds since childhood. They have always followed the workers into the fields. Neither seems bothered by the other. The bird searches. The man works. The morning continues. Across the valley other farmers are doing much the same. From a distance they appear as small figures moving steadily beneath the growing light. Some work alone. Others labor beside brothers, sons, wives, or aging parents whose hands still know useful tasks even if their backs no longer carry heavy loads. Conversation drifts gently across the fields. No one speaks loudly. There is no reason. A few words about the water. A quiet greeting. A question about a neighbor's harvest. Simple conversations fill the spaces between long moments of peaceful silence. The sun climbs higher. Its warmth settles first upon the shoulders, then across the entire field. Soon the coolness of dawn becomes only a memory. The farmer wipes his forehead with the edge of his linen garment. Sweat is expected. No one complains about it. The people of the Nile understand the language of heat. They know when to work quickly and when to slow their movements. Fighting the sun only steals strength. A small group of children appears along the path carrying clay jars. They bring fresh water from the village. The jars are heavy, but each child has learned how to balance the weight against one hip while walking carefully over the uneven ground. One young boy smiles as he reaches the field. He offers the jar to his father with both hands. The farmer drinks slowly. The water is cool from the clay vessel. Tiny drops gather along the outside where the morning air meets the damp surface. It tastes of the river. Simple. Clean. Refreshing. He thanks the boy with a gentle nod. Words are not always needed between family members. The child sits nearby for a while, pulling small weeds from the edge of the field. His fingers are quick. He has watched the adults often enough to understand which plants belong and which must be removed. Learning begins long before anyone calls it teaching. Every season offers another lesson. Every task quietly prepares the next generation. Far beyond the fields, boats begin moving along the Nile. Their square sails catch the gentle morning breeze. Some carry baskets filled with vegetables. Others transport bundles of reeds gathered from the marshes. A few larger boats carry blocks of stone, jars of grain, or woven cloth meant for distant towns farther north or south. From where the farmer stands, they look almost silent. Tiny shapes gliding across endless water. The river never truly rests. Even when the villages sleep, someone is always traveling upon its surface. A fisherman lowers his net near the reeds. He moves with slow confidence, careful not to frighten the fish below. His small boat rocks gently. Water birds circle overhead. The soft splash of the net disappears into the steady breathing of the river. The farmer returns his attention to the soil. Hour after hour passes without hurry. The sun rises. The shadows shorten. Warmth becomes heat. The smell of earth grows stronger. Dust clings lightly to his legs. His hands become rough with dry soil. Yet there is peace inside the repetition. Each movement follows the last. Lift. Turn. Step. Bend. Smooth the soil. Move forward. Again. And again. The body remembers even when the mind wanders. Sometimes he thinks of the coming harvest. Sometimes he remembers his own father standing in these same fields. Sometimes he notices only the wind moving gently through the grain. There is no need for constant thought. The work itself is enough. By the middle of the morning, merchants begin passing along the road that follows the river. Donkeys carry woven baskets balanced across their backs. Inside are onions, dried fish, linen cloth, pottery, dates, and small bundles of herbs whose pleasant scent briefly fills the warm air as they pass. Travelers greet one another politely. News moves slowly in this world. A merchant may carry stories from villages several days away. Someone may speak of a temple under repair. Another may mention a successful harvest farther upstream. These small pieces of news travel from person to person like leaves floating gently upon the Nile. Nothing arrives quickly. Nothing is expected to. Life follows the pace of walking feet and steady boats. Near midday the heat becomes heavier. Even the birds grow quieter. The farmer stands beneath the narrow shade of a sycamore tree for a few moments. Its branches offer only modest shelter, yet the difference is enough. He opens a small cloth bundle prepared before sunrise. Inside rests a simple meal. Fresh bread. A few onions. Several dates. Perhaps a little cheese made from goat's milk. Nothing elaborate. Everything nourishing. He tears the bread slowly. The crust is firm. The inside remains warm from the morning oven. He eats without rushing. Nearby another farmer does the same. Neither feels the need for long conversation. Companionship sometimes lives most comfortably inside shared silence. Above them the leaves stir gently. Far away the Nile continues its endless journey toward the sea, carrying with it the reflections of clouds, boats, birds, and the quiet lives of countless ordinary people whose names have faded from memory, yet whose peaceful mornings helped shape the enduring rhythm of ancient Egypt. The shade of the sycamore grows smaller as the sun climbs higher into the sky. For a little while, the farmer remains seated upon the ground. His back rests against the rough trunk of the tree. The bark is warm beneath his shoulders now, no longer cool from the early morning. Above him, the broad leaves stir with a soft whisper whenever a breeze passes through. The wind does not come often during the hottest hours. When it does, everyone notices. Even the smallest breath of moving air feels like a quiet kindness. The farmer closes his eyes for only a moment. Not to sleep. Only to rest. His hands lie still upon his knees. They are strong hands, marked by years beneath the sun. The skin is rough from rope, wood, reeds, and stone. Tiny scars have become so familiar that he no longer remembers where each one came from. A cut from a harvesting knife. A scrape against rough limestone. A thorn hidden among dry plants. Years have left their gentle record upon his hands. Around him, the valley seems slower than before. The birds have settled into the trees. The goats gather wherever they can find shade. Even the insects seem quieter beneath the heavy afternoon warmth. Across the nearby fields, other workers rest as well. Some sit beneath date palms. Others lean against irrigation banks where the damp earth offers a little coolness. A few stretch out upon woven mats carried from home, using folded linen beneath their heads. No one wastes energy. The people who have lived beside the Nile understand the rhythm of heat. Morning belongs to work. Midday belongs to patience. Evening will welcome labor once again. There is wisdom in moving with the day instead of against it. After finishing his simple meal, the farmer drinks another careful mouthful of water. The clay jar has kept it surprisingly cool. Tiny drops of moisture cling to its surface. He turns the vessel slowly in his hands before placing it back inside the shade. Nothing is hurried. The fields will still be waiting. Beyond the farmland, life continues within the village. The narrow streets lie mostly quiet beneath the bright sun. Many doorways remain open to invite whatever breeze may pass. Inside one small house, a woman kneads fresh dough upon a smooth wooden board. Her movements are steady. Press. Fold. Turn. Again. A small child sits nearby watching with quiet interest. Soon enough those same hands will learn the work. No lesson begins with words. Children watch first. Then they help. Then one day they simply know. Near another doorway, an older man repairs a woven basket. Its reeds have become dry after years of use. Patient fingers remove broken strands and replace them with fresh ones gathered from the marshes beside the river. Every basket deserves another season if it can still be repaired. Nothing useful is thrown away without reason. Wood takes time to gather. Reeds require careful cutting. Clay jars demand many hours of shaping and firing. Every object carries the memory of someone's labor. Across the village courtyard, several women spread freshly washed linen upon low bushes to dry beneath the bright Egyptian sun. The white cloth shines almost silver beneath the light. Soon it will become warm enough to fold without any trace of morning dampness. Nearby, children chase one another for a few moments before their mothers gently remind them to stay close. Their laughter rises into the still air before fading once more into quiet conversation. An old grandmother sits near the doorway of her home. She shells beans into a shallow basket resting upon her lap. Her hands move more slowly than they once did. Yet they remain careful. Each bean falls softly against the others. The gentle tapping creates its own peaceful rhythm. She remembers many floods of the Nile. She remembers seasons when the water reached farther than expected. She remembers years when every family watched the river with anxious eyes, hoping it would rise just a little higher. These memories are carried quietly. They appear now and then like old songs remembered without effort. Back in the fields, the farmer stands once again. The short rest has returned a little strength to his body. He lifts the wooden hoe. Its familiar weight settles comfortably across his shoulder. The afternoon work begins with the same quiet pace as the morning. There is no race to finish. The crops grow according to the seasons, not according to haste. He walks beside the irrigation channels. The water moves gently between raised banks of packed earth. Here and there, small gates made from mud and reeds direct the flow toward different parts of the field. The farmer kneels beside one of them. With careful hands he adjusts the opening only slightly. Immediately the water changes direction. It slips into another narrow channel, spreading slowly across thirsty ground. He watches for several minutes. Water teaches patience. It never rushes unless forced. Left alone, it finds every low place. It fills small hollows. It disappears quietly into waiting soil. The farmer smiles almost without noticing. This small adjustment may help the crops for many days. Simple work often carries lasting rewards. A pair of oxen appears in the neighboring field. Their broad shoulders move steadily beneath a wooden yoke. A younger farmer guides them with calm words spoken almost in a whisper. The animals know the routine. Their hooves press deep into the soft earth. Behind them, the plow leaves fresh lines stretching neatly across the field. The work is slow. It has always been slow. The earth asks for patience more than speed. Farther away, a flock of white birds rises suddenly into the air. For a brief moment they circle together above the river before settling once more among the reeds. Their wings catch the afternoon sunlight, flashing bright against the deep blue sky. The farmer pauses to watch them. He has seen this countless times. Still, it never feels ordinary. Nature offers quiet beauty without asking anyone to notice. Along the riverbank, fishermen return from the deeper waters. Their boats drift close to shore. The morning catch lies inside woven baskets covered with damp reeds to keep the fish cool beneath the growing heat. One fisherman carefully untangles his net. The thin cords twist around one another after hours beneath the water. Patient fingers loosen each knot. There is no frustration. A damaged net repaired today may serve for many more seasons. Nearby, another man sits upon a smooth stone carving a new wooden handle for a fishing spear. Small curls of wood fall around his feet. Each shaving carries the pleasant scent of fresh timber. His knife moves slowly. Carefully. Every tool begins as a simple piece of wood before becoming something useful. The river continues its endless journey beside them all. Boats drift north with the current. Others raise their square sails to catch the southern wind on the return journey. From the shore they appear almost weightless. Tiny white sails moving silently beneath the endless sky. Some carry grain. Others transport pottery wrapped in woven mats. A few hold passengers traveling to visit distant relatives or to trade goods at markets several villages away. Every traveler follows the same river. The Nile joins lives together just as surely as it joins distant towns. The afternoon light begins its slow change. Though the sun remains high, its brightness softens ever so slightly. The shadows grow a little longer. The hardest heat slowly loosens its hold upon the valley. The farmer notices the change without looking directly at the sky. His body has learned to measure time through warmth, light, and the angle of shadows crossing the earth. Soon the evening work will begin. The village will slowly awaken again after the quiet hours of midday. Bread ovens will glow once more. Smoke will rise gently above the rooftops. Children will gather water. Animals will return from grazing. But for now, the fields remain wrapped in peaceful silence, broken only by the quiet sound of flowing water, the rustle of grain in the warm breeze, and the steady footsteps of ordinary people whose simple, faithful work continues beneath the timeless Egyptian sun. The afternoon slowly leans toward evening. It happens so gently that no one notices the exact moment when the brightest light begins to soften. The sky remains clear above the valley, yet the harsh white glow of midday slowly becomes warmer. The fields seem to breathe again as the heat eases little by little. The farmer continues walking beside the rows of grain. His pace has never changed. There is no need to hurry now any more than there was at sunrise. The earth asks only for steady hands and quiet attention. It has never rewarded impatience. The barley moves with the breeze. Each stalk bends only slightly before standing upright once more. From a distance the field looks almost like the surface of the river, with gentle waves rolling across it as the wind passes through. The farmer reaches down and rubs a few heads of grain between his fingers. Tiny pieces fall into his palm. He studies them without speaking. The harvest is still some time away, but each day brings it a little closer. He has learned to read the crops in ways that cannot easily be explained. The color, the firmness, the weight, the smell carried by the wind. All of these quiet signs tell their own story. No written scroll could describe them as clearly as years spent in the fields. Nearby, a small family works together. An elderly grandfather sits upon a low wooden stool repairing bundles of reeds that will later become roofing mats. His son shapes fresh mud mixed with chopped straw. The mixture is heavy. He presses it firmly into simple wooden molds before laying each brick in the sunlight to dry. The grandson carries small jars of water back and forth with determined little steps. The jars are not large. Even so, they seem heavy in his small hands. Sometimes a few drops spill onto the dusty ground. No one scolds him. Every adult remembers carrying the first water jars of childhood. Learning always begins with small efforts. As the years pass, small efforts quietly become ordinary skills. The farmer watches them for a moment before returning to his own work. The village has always depended upon many different hands. One family grows grain. Another shapes pottery. Another weaves baskets. Another repairs fishing boats. Some work with copper. Some carve wood. Others spend long days copying careful signs onto smooth sheets of papyrus. Each trade supports another. No one truly lives alone beside the Nile. Even the smallest household depends upon neighbors whose work may look very different from its own. Farther along the road, two donkeys walk slowly beneath the weight of loaded baskets. Their owner keeps an easy pace beside them. The animals know the familiar route between villages. They do not need pulling or shouting. From the baskets comes the faint scent of dried figs and dates warmed by the afternoon sun. A few clay jars are tucked safely among folded linen cloths. The merchant hopes to exchange them before another sunrise. Trade is rarely hurried. Many journeys last several days. Some continue for weeks. Yet each traveler moves according to the rhythm of daylight. Very few roads welcome people after darkness has settled over the land. The farmer wipes his brow once again. His linen headcloth has become damp with sweat. Dust clings lightly around its edges. His feet are coated with a fine layer of dry earth that has gathered throughout the day. None of this feels uncomfortable anymore. It is simply the appearance of honest work. The scent of warm soil surrounds him. Occasionally it mixes with the sweeter smell of flowering plants growing beside the irrigation channels. Tiny insects drift lazily above the water. Dragonflies skim across the surface before disappearing among the reeds. A frog slips quietly beneath the water as the farmer passes. Everything shares this narrow ribbon of fertile land. Fish, birds, people, animals, plants. All depend upon the river's patient generosity. Without it, the green valley would quickly become as dry as the endless desert beyond. The desert waits in every direction. Its pale hills rise quietly beneath the afternoon sun. From the edge of the fields, the farmer can see distant cliffs glowing in shades of gold and soft brown. They appear peaceful from here. Almost motionless. Only the changing light slowly alters their color as the hours pass. Many people rarely travel beyond those cliffs. There is little reason to. Everything needed for life gathers close to the river. Water, food, family, work, The Nile is not simply part of life. It is life itself. As the afternoon continues, the breeze grows a little stronger. Palm leaves begin to rustle more often. The sound is gentle. Dry fronds brush softly against one another high above the ground. The movement carries a welcome coolness across the fields. The farmer lifts his face for just a moment. The air feels different now. Less heavy. His shoulders relax without him noticing. Nearby, several women walk together carrying woven baskets balanced carefully upon their heads. Inside are fresh vegetables gathered from small gardens near the village. Green onions, lettuce, beans, herbs tied into neat bundles with strips of reed. Their conversation rises and falls quietly. They speak of family members, of bread that must be baked before night, of a roof that will need repairing before the next flood season. Simple conversations travel naturally alongside simple work. No story is told loudly. There is no audience. Only neighbors sharing another ordinary afternoon. One woman pauses to greet the farmer. He answers with a warm smile and a few quiet words. Then both continue on their separate paths. These brief greetings happen many times throughout the day. They require little effort. Yet they quietly weave the village together. Everyone knows nearly everyone else. Children grow beneath familiar eyes. Elders are greeted with respect. Visitors are noticed almost immediately. Life moves slowly enough that few faces remain strangers for long. The farmer reaches the far edge of his field. Here the irrigation canal widens slightly before turning back toward the river. The water reflects the sky so clearly that passing clouds seem to float beneath the surface. He kneels beside the bank. A small crack has appeared where the packed earth has dried beneath the sun. If left alone, precious water could slowly escape. He gathers damp mud with both hands. Patiently he presses it into the opening. Again and again he smooths the surface until the bank feels solid once more. His fingers are coated with cool clay. The sensation is pleasant after hours beneath the sun. The fresh mud smells rich and clean. For a few moments he simply sits beside the canal. The gentle sound of flowing water fills the silence. He watches tiny ripples carry floating leaves downstream. Nothing travels quickly. Even the leaves seem content to follow the river wherever it chooses to lead them. Across the valley, smoke begins rising from the first cooking fires. Thin gray lines climb slowly into the still air. Even from this distance the farmer can almost imagine the familiar smells. Fresh bread, stewing lentils, roasted onions. Perhaps fish caught only a few hours earlier. His stomach reminds him that evening is approaching. The day's work is not yet finished. There is still enough light for another careful walk through the fields. He checks the young plants once more. Straightens a small section of irrigation bank. Removes a few stubborn weeds. Looks toward the sky. The sun has begun its slow descent toward the western horizon. Its light grows softer with every passing moment. Long shadows stretch across the earth, reaching between rows of grain like quiet fingers. The valley changes once again. The birds become more active. Small flocks lift from the reeds and circle above the river before settling into nearby trees. The distant calls of herons drift across the water. Goats begin wandering home in loose groups, their bells giving soft, irregular chimes. Children appear once more along the dusty paths, laughing gently as they help guide the animals back toward their shelters. The village awakens from the stillness of the hottest hours. Doors open. Voices return. Pottery jars are carried from wells. Fresh water splashes into waiting basins. Families prepare for another peaceful evening beneath the endless Egyptian sky. The farmer takes one last slow look across his land before turning toward home. Golden light rests upon every field. The Nile glows like polished bronze beneath the lowering sun. The warm breeze carries the scent of grain, river water, and distant bread ovens. Another ordinary day has quietly unfolded, not marked by great events or famous names, but by countless small acts of care that keep a family fed, a village alive, and the timeless rhythm of the Nile flowing gently into another tranquil evening. The path home is familiar beneath the farmer's feet. He has walked this same narrow road so many times that he no longer thinks about each step. The earth is firm where countless sandals have passed before him. Here and there, small stones press gently beneath the soles of his feet, polished smooth by many years of travel between the village and the fields. The evening breeze follows him. It carries away some of the day's heat. The air still feels warm, yet it is no longer heavy. The valley seems to sigh with quiet relief as the sun slowly lowers toward the western hills. Around him, other farmers begin making the same journey. Some carry wooden hoes across their shoulders. Others balance bundles of reeds beneath one arm. A young man leads 2 oxen with a loose rope. The great animals walk without complaint, their slow footsteps raising little clouds of pale dust that drift for a moment before settling back upon the road. No one speaks very much. The work of the day has gently tired every voice. Instead, people greet one another with quiet smiles or small nods as they pass. These simple gestures are enough. Everyone understands the feeling that comes at the close of a long day's labor. The body grows pleasantly heavy. The mind becomes calm. The village slowly grows larger before him. Mud brick homes glow softly beneath the golden light of the lowering sun. Their flat roofs catch the last warmth of the afternoon, while narrow lanes between the houses begin to fill with long blue shadows. Children are waiting near the edge of the village. Some gather smooth stones for games they have invented themselves. Others chase one another around stacks of dried reeds prepared for future building work. Their laughter rises and falls like birdsong. It is cheerful, but never loud enough to disturb the peaceful evening. An older sister calls gently to her younger brother. He hesitates for only a moment before hurrying toward her. Their mother is already preparing the evening meal. Home is calling everyone back. As the farmer enters the village, familiar scents surround him. Warm bread. Roasted onions. Fresh herbs crushed beneath careful hands. A pot of lentils simmering slowly over glowing coals. Smoke rises lazily from dozens of small ovens. The smell settles gently into the cooling air, becoming part of the evening itself. He passes the house of the village potter. Outside, rows of freshly shaped jars rest upon wooden boards. Some are large enough to hold grain through many months. Others are small cups meant for water or beer. The clay has begun to dry beneath the afternoon sun, though they will still need careful firing before they are ready for use. The potter brushes a little dust from one unfinished jar. His hands are coated with fine red clay. Even after washing, the color will remain beneath his fingernails for many days. Across the lane, the village carpenter sits outside his doorway. A length of acacia wood rests across his knees. Using a small copper blade, he smooths its surface little by little. Thin curls of fragrant wood fall quietly onto the ground around his sandals. He pauses now and then to run his fingers along the grain, searching for rough places that still need attention. No work is rushed. Each tool deserves careful making. A well-made handle may serve a farmer for many seasons. The carpenter understands that his quiet labor will travel into many fields, boats, and homes long after this evening has passed. The farmer continues toward his own doorway. Before entering, he stops beside a large clay jar standing in the shade. Inside is cool water brought from the Nile earlier in the day. He lifts a small cup. The water tastes fresh. A little earthy from the clay. Wonderfully cool after hours beneath the sun. He pours another cup slowly over his hands. Dust disappears into the earth below. The cool water eases the warmth from his skin. His young daughter appears at the doorway. She smiles as she sees him. Without saying anything, she reaches for the wooden hoe resting against his shoulder. It is almost too large for her. She carries it carefully inside with both hands. Small acts of help become quiet habits within a family. The farmer steps into the cool dimness of the house. Compared to the bright sunlight outside, the room feels peaceful and shaded. The thick mud brick walls have protected the inside from much of the day's heat. A soft orange glow comes from the small cooking fire. His wife kneels beside the oven. She turns flat rounds of bread with practiced fingers, moving them carefully so that each cooks evenly. The smell fills every corner of the room. Nearby, a clay pot bubbles gently. Steam rises through its narrow opening. Inside, lentils cook slowly with onions, garlic, and herbs gathered from the small garden beside the house. The simple meal asks for little. Only time. The farmer sits quietly upon a woven reed mat. For a few moments he simply watches the fire. Its small flames dance around pieces of dry wood and bundled reeds. Tiny sparks rise now and then before fading into the evening air. The room is peaceful. Outside, voices drift through the doorway. Neighbors speak together as they finish their own evening tasks. Someone laughs softly. A donkey shakes its head, causing the small bell around its neck to ring once. Farther away, a dog barks only briefly before silence returns. The daughter places several small bowls upon the floor. Her younger brother follows behind carrying fresh bread wrapped in clean linen. He walks carefully. The bread is still warm. Its pleasant smell mixes with the aroma of the stew. Soon the family gathers together. There is no grand table. The meal is shared while seated upon woven mats. The bowls are placed within easy reach of everyone. Each person tears pieces of bread and dips them into the warm lentils. No one eats quickly. The day's work has ended. There is no reason to hurry now. The farmer asks his children about their day. His daughter speaks of helping her mother grind grain. She proudly explains that she turned the heavy stone longer than yesterday before needing to rest. Her father smiles. He remembers the first time he tried the same task. His arms had grown tired almost immediately. Strength arrives little by little. Just as the river shapes the valley one season at a time. His son tells of following the goats beyond the gardens. One curious kid wandered toward the reeds beside the canal. It took several gentle calls before it decided to return. The story is simple. Yet everyone listens with quiet interest. Small adventures are enough. Life does not need great dramas to be full. Outside, the sunlight continues to fade. The golden fields become softer in color. Palm trees stand as dark shapes against the bright western sky. Above them, birds fly toward places where they will rest through the night. The village grows quieter. Cooking fires burn lower. Families finish their evening meals. Clay bowls are washed carefully with water and sand. The remaining bread is wrapped in linen for tomorrow morning. Nothing is wasted. Grain requires too much labor to be treated carelessly. Water is carried too far to be spilled without thought. Every meal is accepted with quiet gratitude. After eating, the farmer steps outside once more. The air feels cooler now. The first evening stars have begun to appear. The Nile reflects the fading colors of the sky. Its waters continue their endless journey, unchanged by the passing of another day. He walks a short distance beyond the houses toward the riverbank. Many others have done the same. Some sit quietly beside the water. Others mend fishing nets before darkness fully arrives. An elderly man watches the current without speaking. Perhaps he has watched this same river at sunset for 50 years. Perhaps even longer. The farmer lowers himself onto a smooth stone near the shore. He listens. The gentle movement of water. The whisper of reeds brushing together. The distant call of a night bird beginning its evening song. The soft voices of neighbors fading as they return home. Above him, the stars multiply one by one across the vast Egyptian sky. Tomorrow will bring another dawn. Another walk to the fields. Another day shaped by sunlight, soil, and the patient flow of the Nile. But those thoughts can wait. For now, the evening belongs to stillness. The river asks for nothing. The breeze carries the scent of damp reeds and cooling earth. The warm stones slowly release the heat they gathered throughout the day. And beneath the quiet heavens of ancient Egypt, the farmer rests beside the timeless Nile, allowing the peaceful silence of another ordinary evening to settle gently around him like a familiar blanket. Darkness settles over the valley with quiet patience. It does not arrive all at once. The last golden light fades from the tops of the palm trees. The western sky slowly changes from warm amber to soft violet, and then to a deep blue that seems to stretch forever above the Nile. One by one, the brightest stars begin to appear, shining with a calm steadiness that has guided travelers and comforted families for countless generations. The farmer remains beside the river. The stone beneath him still holds a little warmth from the day's sun. He rests his hands upon his knees and listens to the gentle sounds that become clearer after nightfall. The river speaks in its own quiet language. Water brushes against reeds growing along the bank. Small ripples touch smooth stones with gentle rhythm. A fish briefly breaks the surface before disappearing beneath the dark water once again. Nothing disturbs the peaceful flow. The Nile continues its endless journey beneath the stars, just as it did long before the farmer was born, and just as it will long after his footprints have faded from the dusty paths of the valley. Nearby, another man finishes repairing his fishing net. He stretches it carefully between his hands, searching for places where the cords have become thin. The knots are small, and the work asks for sharp eyes, even in the fading light. He ties one final knot. Satisfied, he folds the net neatly across his shoulder. Tomorrow, before sunrise, he will return to the river once again. His mornings begin even earlier than those of the farmers. Fish are easier to catch while the water still holds the coolness of the night. The farmer watches him walk away toward the village. Soon the path grows quiet again. Only the river remains. Farther downstream, a small boat glides silently across the dark water. Its single oil lamp burns with a soft yellow glow. From a distance, the light seems almost suspended above the river itself. The person guiding the boat moves slowly with a long wooden pole. There is no need for haste. The current is gentle. The night is clear. The stars offer enough light to reveal the outline of the riverbanks. The farmer has always admired these quiet boats. Even as a child, he would watch them drifting through the darkness, wondering where they had come from and where they were going. Some carry fishermen returning home. Others transport goods between nearby villages before the heat of another day begins. Sometimes a priest travels quietly to a temple farther along the river. Sometimes a messenger carries news that will not reach its destination until several dawns have passed. Every journey follows the same patient current. At last, the farmer rises from the stone. His legs feel pleasantly tired. Not painful. Simply heavy from honest work. He brushes a little dust from his linen garment before beginning the short walk home. The village has changed since sunset. Most doorways now glow with the gentle light of small oil lamps. Their flames flicker softly whenever a breeze wanders through the narrow streets. Shadows move across the mud brick walls. Some families still sit outside their homes. The air is cooler here than inside the houses, and many enjoy a little conversation before sleep. An elderly couple shares a woven mat beneath the open sky. They speak quietly about the coming flood season. They remember years when the river rose high enough to leave rich layers of black soil across every field. They also remember leaner years, when everyone watched the water with patient hope. The memories come without sadness. Time has taught them that every season carries both ease and hardship. The important thing is to meet each one with steady hands. A few houses farther along, a young mother rocks her baby gently in her arms. She hums a slow melody. The words are so soft that they disappear into the evening breeze. The child has already closed tiny eyes. Only the gentle movement continues. Back and forth. Slowly. Patiently. The rhythm feels much like the river itself. Outside another home, two brothers sit together mending a woven basket. The reeds have become brittle with age. Working by the light of a small lamp, they replace each damaged strand one at a time. The younger brother asks questions. The older answers quietly. Skills pass from one generation to another in moments exactly like these. There are no formal lessons. Only careful watching. Gentle correction. Patient practice. The farmer reaches his own doorway. His children are still awake. His daughter sits beside her mother spinning flax into fine thread. Her fingers move carefully, drawing the fibers into long, even strands. The work requires attention, but after many evenings she no longer thinks about every movement. Her hands simply remember. Nearby, her younger brother has begun carving simple shapes into a small piece of wood using a rounded stone. The figures are not perfect. One looks almost like a bird. Another could perhaps be a goat. He smiles proudly anyway. His father kneels beside him. For a few moments they study the tiny carvings together. The farmer points gently to one rough edge. The boy smooths it with patient care. Little by little, the shape becomes clearer. Neither speaks very much. They do not need many words. The quiet companionship is enough. Soon the evening tasks come to an end. The spinning is finished. The tools are placed neatly against the wall. The cooking fire is allowed to fade until only glowing coals remain. Their soft red light fills the room with a peaceful warmth. The farmer's wife places a flat clay lid over the remaining stew to keep it safe until morning. Tomorrow's breakfast has already begun its quiet preparation. Nothing is left to chance. The rhythm of daily life depends upon small acts completed before sleep. Outside, the village grows quieter still. One by one, the lamps disappear. A door closes softly. Footsteps fade along the dusty lane. Even the donkeys have settled for the night, resting upon folded legs inside simple shelters. Only an occasional rustle from the goats reminds anyone that they are there. The farmer steps outside one final time. The sky above him is magnificent. Without clouds, every star shines brightly across the endless darkness. The familiar patterns have guided farmers through the changing seasons for generations. Though they do not know the names that future people will give these stars, they know when certain groups rise before dawn. They know which ones appear during the flood season. They know when the brightest lights begin returning after months of absence. The heavens become another calendar. One written not upon papyrus, but across the night itself. A cool breeze moves gently through the palms. Their long leaves whisper overhead. The sound blends with the distant murmur of the Nile. It is a peaceful conversation between wind and water. The farmer breathes deeply. The air smells different now. The warmth of the earth is fading. The scent of damp reeds has grown stronger. Fresh mud along the riverbank releases its rich fragrance into the cool night. Somewhere nearby, jasmine flowers open beneath the darkness, filling the breeze with a delicate sweetness that was hidden during the heat of the day. He closes his eyes for just a moment. His body feels wonderfully tired. Every muscle reminds him of the work completed since dawn. Yet there is satisfaction inside that weariness. The fields have been cared for. The canals flow properly. His family has eaten. The roof above their home remains strong. For today, nothing more is needed. He returns inside. His children are already lying upon their woven mats. Their quiet breathing soon becomes slow and steady. His wife gently adjusts the linen covering over the youngest child before settling beside the fading warmth of the hearth. The farmer lowers himself onto his own reed mat. The woven fibers press softly beneath his back. Above him, the heavy wooden beams of the roof disappear into the shadows. A tiny flame still burns within the small oil lamp. Its light dances across the mud brick walls for a few peaceful moments before he reaches over and gently shields it. The room becomes almost completely dark. Outside, the Nile continues flowing through the ancient valley without pause. Its waters carry moonlight, drifting reeds, sleeping birds, and the quiet reflections of countless stars. The farmer listens to that gentle sound as his breathing grows slower. The day's work slowly slips away from his thoughts. Tomorrow will come in its own time. The river will still be there. The fields will still be waiting. For now, the ancient village rests beneath the endless Egyptian sky, wrapped in the comforting silence of another peaceful night along the timeless banks of the Nile. The night grows deeper over the Nile. The moon has climbed higher above the eastern horizon, casting a pale silver light across the quiet valley. Its reflection stretches gently over the slow-moving water, breaking into countless small pieces whenever the current passes around reeds or smooth stones beneath the surface. The village sleeps. From above, the homes appear as simple shapes gathered closely together, their flat roofs glowing softly beneath the moonlight. Narrow paths wind between them like pale ribbons of dust. During the day these lanes are filled with footsteps, voices, and the sounds of work. Now they rest in complete stillness. Only the gentle breath of the wind moves through them. The farmer sleeps peacefully upon his woven reed mat. His breathing is slow and even. The tiredness gathered during the long day has settled comfortably into every part of his body. His hands, which spent so many hours guiding tools through the earth, now rest quietly across his chest. The small oil lamp has long since gone dark. Only a faint red glow remains beneath the ashes of the cooking fire. Every now and then, one tiny ember brightens for a moment before becoming dim once again. The room is cool compared to the afternoon. The thick mud brick walls have slowly released the heat they stored during the day. The air feels gentle upon the skin. Through the open doorway comes the quiet scent of damp earth carried from the river by the night's breeze. Outside, the village animals are resting. The goats lie close together inside their shelter. Their ears twitch from time to time as they dream in the darkness. The family donkey shifts its weight slowly before becoming still once more. A small dog curls tightly near the doorway of another house, lifting its head only briefly as an owl glides silently overhead. The owl makes almost no sound. Its wings move through the night air as softly as drifting linen. It circles above the fields where small creatures move beneath the moonlight. For the owl, the night is the beginning of another day. Far beyond the village, the wide fields rest beneath the stars. Without the bright sun, the barley looks different. Its golden color has become soft silver beneath the moonlight. The gentle breeze causes the grain to sway together, creating slow waves that roll quietly across the land. No farmer watches them now. No tools disturb the soil. Even the irrigation channels seem quieter during these peaceful hours. The water continues its patient journey toward every corner of the fields. It does not sleep. It flows steadily through the night, carrying life to the waiting roots beneath the earth. Along one of the canals, a frog sits motionless upon a smooth stone. Its eyes reflect the moon. Nearby, tiny insects dance above the water, their delicate wings catching the silver light before disappearing into darkness. From somewhere among the reeds comes the gentle croak of another frog. Soon another answers. Their simple voices blend naturally with the whisper of moving water. Not far away, a fisherman begins his morning long before sunrise. His family still sleeps as he quietly steps outside. He moves carefully across the courtyard, not wishing to wake anyone. His fishing net hangs neatly over one shoulder. A small clay lamp lights his way for only a few moments before he gently blows out the flame. The moon is bright enough now. He follows the familiar path toward the river. His sandals leave fresh marks in the cool dust. The night air feels refreshing after the warmth trapped inside the house. He breathes deeply. The scent of reeds fills his lungs. It is a smell he has known since childhood. At the riverbank, his small boat waits where he tied it the evening before. The rope is damp with dew. He unties it slowly. The boat drifts only a little before he climbs aboard with practiced ease. A long wooden pole presses gently against the riverbed. Without effort, the little vessel slips silently into deeper water. The fisherman does not hurry. Fish are patient. The river rewards those who move quietly. The stars above are reflected so clearly upon the surface that it almost seems as though he is floating through the sky itself. Farther downstream, another boat appears as only a dark shape against the silver water. The two fishermen raise a hand in silent greeting as they pass one another. No words are needed. The stillness of the night feels too peaceful to disturb. Back in the village, the farmer remains asleep. His youngest child turns gently beneath a linen covering before settling once again. Dreams drift quietly through the little house. No one knows what dreams filled the minds of ancient people. Perhaps they remembered the day's work. Perhaps they imagined fields overflowing with grain. Perhaps they simply dreamed of walking beside the cool waters of the Nile beneath a sky full of stars. Outside the house, the moon slowly continues its journey. Time passes gently. 1 hour becomes another. The night grows cooler still. A faint layer of dew begins forming upon leaves near the river. Small drops gather along blades of grass that grow wherever moisture lingers. The desert beyond the valley remains silent. Its wide hills stretch endlessly beneath the stars. The pale sand reflects the moonlight until the distant landscape almost seems to glow. Few people travel there after dark. The river valley offers safety, water, and familiar paths. Beyond it lies a world of open silence. Near the edge of the village stands a great sycamore tree. Its broad branches spread across the ground like welcoming arms. During the day it offers precious shade to travelers. Tonight it shelters sleeping birds among its leaves. Occasionally one shifts upon its branch, sending a few dry leaves drifting gently toward the earth below. The sound is almost too soft to hear. Nearby, a pair of cats wander quietly through the narrow lanes. They move with slow confidence, pausing now and then to listen. Their eyes shine brightly whenever they catch the moonlight. Moonlight. The villagers welcome these quiet hunters. They help protect precious stores of grain from curious mice. Even these small animals have their place within the life of the village. Inside another nearby home, an elderly woman wakes for a short while. She sits quietly upon her mat, listening. The years have made her sleep lighter than it once was. She hears the distant river, the soft rustling of palm leaves, the peaceful breathing of her family. Everything sounds as it should. Satisfied, she lies down once more. Sleep returns gently. The hours before dawn are often the quietest of all. Even the breeze becomes softer. The village seems wrapped in complete stillness. The stars slowly begin their silent journey toward the western sky. Only those who rise before sunrise notice their gradual movement. The world changes little by little while most people continue sleeping. The farmer stirs. Not because he is fully awake. Only because his body has grown so accustomed to rising early that it begins preparing long before dawn arrives. He shifts beneath the linen covering. One hand rests against the woven mat. Then everything becomes still again. There is still time before morning. The first birds have not yet begun to sing. The eastern horizon remains dark. Yet somewhere beyond the quiet fields, beyond the reeds and the calm water, another sunrise is already making its slow and patient approach, bringing with it another gentle day in the timeless valley of ancient Egypt, where ordinary lives continue to unfold beside the ever-faithful Nile, one peaceful morning after another. Long before the first light reaches the horizon, the valley rests in a silence so gentle that even the smallest sound seems to travel farther than it does during the busy hours of the day. The stars still shine above the Nile. Their reflections drift slowly upon the dark water, stretching and bending with every quiet ripple. The river seems to carry the heavens upon its surface, moving them patiently toward places far beyond the farmer's village. The air is cool now. It is the coolest moment of the entire day. The heat stored within the stones has almost disappeared, and the earth feels pleasant beneath bare feet. A thin layer of dew rests upon leaves growing close to the water. Tiny drops cling to reeds, sparkling whenever the moonlight touches them. The farmer opens his eyes. There is no loud sound to wake him. No voice calls his name. His body has simply learned the rhythm of the seasons. For many years he has risen before the sun, and now the habit is as natural as breathing. For a few moments he remains lying quietly upon the woven mat. The house is peaceful. His wife and children are still asleep. The faint glow of dying embers rests beneath a covering of pale ash inside the small hearth. Only an occasional red spark appears before fading once more. He listens. The silence is comforting. Somewhere outside, a night bird gives one quiet call. From farther away comes the soft murmur of the Nile. Nothing else disturbs the darkness. The farmer sits up slowly. His joints feel a little stiff after yesterday's work. He stretches his shoulders. His hands open and close gently. Soon the familiar stiffness begins to ease. Years of labor have taught him to greet each morning carefully. The body works best when awakened slowly. He steps outside. The cool air welcomes him immediately. He breathes deeply. The scent of damp soil rises from the earth. Nearby, fresh reeds carry the clean smell of river water. The breeze is light enough that it barely stirs the leaves of the date palms standing beyond the village. Above him, the stars seem endless. Some appear brighter than others. Their quiet light has guided travelers, fishermen, and farmers for generations beyond counting. The farmer does not know the names that future ages will give these stars. He simply knows where they belong. He knows which ones stand above the eastern horizon before harvest. He knows which appear during the season of planting. The sky has become another field to read, another quiet companion through the passing years. He walks toward the clay water jar standing beside the doorway. The outside of the jar feels cool beneath his fingertips. Moisture has gathered upon its surface during the night. He fills a small cup and drinks slowly. The water is wonderfully refreshing. He pours another handful over his face. The coolness chases away the last traces of sleep. A nearby rooster finally announces the coming morning. Its call carries across the still village. Not long after, another answers from farther away. Then another. Soon the quiet chorus spreads from house to house. The village is beginning to wake. A faint ribbon of pale gray appears along the eastern horizon. Night has not ended, but morning has begun. Inside the house, the farmer's wife quietly rises. She has heard the first roosters. Without needing to speak, she begins preparing another day. She gathers dry reeds from a small basket. A few pieces of firewood follow. Carefully she blows upon yesterday's hidden embers. At first nothing happens. Then one tiny orange glow appears. Another follows. A thin thread of smoke rises toward the roof. Soon a small flame begins dancing once more. The fire has returned. The familiar scent of warm smoke drifts gently into the cool morning air. The farmer's daughter wakes next. She rubs sleep from her eyes before folding her linen covering neatly beside the wall. She has seen her mother perform these same movements every morning for as long as she can remember. Without being asked, she reaches for the grinding stones. The lower stone remains still. The upper stone fits comfortably beneath both hands. She pours a measure of grain into the center. Then she begins the slow turning motion. Round and round. The heavy stone rolls steadily. Tiny pieces of grain break apart. Little by little they become soft flour. The steady sound fills the quiet room. Stone against stone. A peaceful rhythm. The farmer's son is slower to wake. He curls beneath his linen cloth for a few moments longer before finally sitting up. His hair stands untidy after sleep. His father smiles gently. The boy smiles back. There is no need for many words at this hour. Morning belongs to calm. Outside, more doorways begin opening. A woman sweeps yesterday's dust from her entrance with a bundle of reeds tied together at one end. Each careful stroke leaves smooth lines upon the ground. A man lifts two empty clay jars before walking toward the river. Several young girls carry woven baskets filled with fresh vegetables gathered before sunrise, while the cool air still lingers over the gardens. An elderly neighbor sits quietly upon a low stool. He watches the eastern sky brighten little by little. He has seen thousands of mornings beside the Nile. Still, he never seems tired of watching another dawn arrive. The farmer walks with his son toward a small enclosure where their goats spent the night. The animals stir as they hear familiar footsteps. One young goat stretches its front legs before giving a gentle bleat. Another nudges the wooden gate with quiet impatience. The boy laughs softly. He scratches one goat behind its ears. The animal leans happily against his hand. The farmer checks each animal carefully. He looks at their eyes, their hooves, their coats. Years of experience have taught him to notice small changes. A healthy animal helps support the entire household. Its milk nourishes the family. Its offspring strengthen the herd. Its quiet presence becomes part of daily life. Nearby, a donkey waits patiently beneath a simple shelter made from reeds and wooden poles. The animal blinks slowly as the farmer approaches. Its long ears twitch toward every sound. He lays a gentle hand upon its neck. The donkey has carried bundles of grain, jars of water, and heavy loads of reeds for many years. Its pace has always been steady. Never fast. Never slow. Simply dependable. The farmer offers it fresh water before filling a small basket with chopped reeds. The donkey begins eating with calm satisfaction. The eastern sky grows brighter. Soft shades of pale pink now touch the edge of the horizon. The stars nearest the sunrise begin fading one by one. The brightest linger just a little longer before quietly disappearing into daylight. The village is awake now. Smoke rises from many rooftops. Children carry water. Mothers knead bread. Fathers gather tools. Neighbors greet one another with quiet voices that blend naturally with the awakening sounds of birds. The first swallows dart across the sky. They sweep low above the irrigation canals, catching tiny insects rising with the morning warmth. Their flight is graceful, effortless. They circle over the fields before disappearing toward the river. The farmer returns inside. Fresh bread has already begun baking upon the warm stones of the oven. The pleasant aroma fills the little house. His wife shapes another round of dough with practiced hands. The flour clings lightly to her fingers. She smooths each edge before placing it carefully beside the fire. The daughter continues grinding grain. The son arranges small baskets near the doorway, preparing them for the day's work. Each member of the family knows exactly what must be done. No one gives instructions. The rhythm has become part of them all. The farmer sits quietly for a simple breakfast. Warm bread. A few dates. Fresh goat's milk. Perhaps a little soft cheese prepared the previous evening. Nothing is extravagant. Everything is satisfying. He tears a piece of bread. Steam escapes gently into the cool morning air. Outside, the first rays of sunlight finally touch the tops of the distant cliffs. Golden light slowly spreads across the valley once more. The palms brighten. The river begins to sparkle. The fields awaken beneath another peaceful dawn. The farmer finishes his meal and reaches for the familiar wooden hoe waiting beside the doorway. Its handle is smooth from years of careful use. He lifts it onto his shoulder with easy confidence. Another ordinary day is ready to begin. The Nile flows quietly beside him, just as it always has, carrying fresh water through the fertile valley while the ancient world wakes gently around its timeless banks, inviting another calm day of patient work beneath the warm Egyptian sun. The first full light of morning settles gently across the valley. It is not yet the fierce brightness that will come later in the day. The sunlight is soft, almost tender, spreading slowly over the fields as if it wishes not to wake the land too quickly. The tops of the barley glow with a pale gold, while the lower leaves still hold tiny drops of dew gathered during the night. The farmer steps onto the familiar path once more. His hoe rests across one shoulder. A small woven basket hangs from his other hand. The cool air makes walking pleasant, and for a little while he simply enjoys the quiet beginning of another day. The village behind him is already busy, though the sounds remain gentle. Grinding stones turn steadily. Goats call to one another. A child laughs as a chicken escapes from its small enclosure and runs across the dusty lane. The smell of fresh bread follows him for several steps before being carried away by the breeze. As he reaches the edge of the cultivated land, He pauses. The Nile lies before him, calm and wide beneath the brightening sky. Mist rises lightly from the water, forming thin white ribbons that drift among the reeds. For a few precious moments the river looks almost mysterious, half hidden between earth and heaven. A fisherman is already returning. His boat glides toward the shore with slow confidence. Inside are several fish resting upon damp reeds. The morning has been kind to him. The farmer raises a hand in greeting. The fisherman smiles and returns the gesture without speaking. Both men continue on their separate paths. There is a quiet understanding between people who begin their work before sunrise. Words are often unnecessary. The fields welcome the farmer with familiar silence. He walks between the rows, looking carefully at the young plants. Some leaves have grown a little taller since yesterday. A few weeds have appeared near the irrigation channel. One section of soil has dried slightly faster than the rest. He notices all of these things without effort. His eyes have been trained by many seasons. To someone unfamiliar with farming, the field might appear unchanged. To him, it tells a different story every morning. He kneels beside the canal. The water flows gently, carrying tiny bits of floating grass and fallen leaves. He cups his hands and lets the cool water run across his fingers. Then he begins adjusting the small mud gates that guide the flow through different parts of the field. A little more water here. A little less there. The changes are small, yet they matter. The earth drinks quietly. Nearby, another farmer is already working with his eldest son. The young man is strong now, nearly as tall as his father. Together they repair a section of irrigation bank that collapsed during the previous week. They pack fresh mud firmly into place. The son works with enthusiasm, pushing large handfuls of wet earth into the gap. The father smooths the surface carefully afterward. Strength builds the wall. Patience finishes it. The older man notices the farmer watching and smiles. "Good water this morning," he says softly. The farmer nods. "Very good. That is enough conversation." Both return to their work. The sun climbs a little higher. Its warmth begins touching the backs of their necks. Shadows shorten across the fields. Birds become more active, hopping between rows in search of insects stirred by the morning activity. A white ibis lands only a few steps away. Its long curved beak probes gently into the soft soil. The farmer watches it for a moment before continuing. The bird has no fear of him. They have shared these fields for many years. As the morning grows brighter, more people arrive from the village. Women carry baskets filled with seed. Children bring fresh water in clay jars. An elderly man walks slowly with a wooden staff, heading toward a small garden where he grows herbs and onions. Every path becomes alive with quiet movement. No one rushes. The day is long. There is time for every task. The farmer begins clearing weeds from around the young plants. He grips each one close to the soil and pulls carefully so that the roots come free. The work is repetitive. Bend. Pull. Shake away the earth. Place the weed into the basket. Step forward. Again. And again. The rhythm is strangely peaceful. His mind becomes calm. The body knows what to do. Thoughts drift gently like clouds across the morning sky. He remembers his father's hands doing the same work. He remembers being a small boy, trying to help, pulling the wrong plants by mistake. His father had laughed softly, not with anger, but with patience. "Look carefully," he had said. "The good plant asks to stay. The bad plant comes away easily." It had seemed like a lesson about farming. Only later did the farmer understand that it was also a lesson about life. A breeze moves across the valley. It carries the scent of wet earth and fresh grain. Palm leaves rustle in the distance. The sound is gentle enough to blend with the whisper of the barley. Farther away, the Nile sparkles beneath the strengthening sun. Boats continue their slow journeys. One carries large jars sealed with clay. Another transports bundles of papyrus reeds tied neatly together. A third is filled with empty baskets, perhaps on its way to collect vegetables from another village. The river connects them all. The farmer straightens his back for a moment. His muscles feel warm now. The pleasant coolness of dawn has mostly disappeared. Soon the heat will become stronger. He drinks from the clay jar his son brought earlier. The water is still cool. The porous clay has done its quiet work through the morning. A few drops run down his chin. He wipes them away with the back of his hand. Nearby, the son of the neighboring farmer approaches carrying another jar. He offers water first to his father, then to the farmer. The older men thank him with warm smiles. The boy stands proudly for a moment before returning to his own tasks. Small responsibilities help children grow into confident adults. The farmer remembers the first time his own father trusted him to carry water alone. The jar had seemed enormous. He had spilled nearly half of it before reaching the field. Yet his father thanked him anyway. Encouragement often teaches more than perfection. The sun continues climbing. The light becomes brighter. The valley begins to shimmer slightly as warmth rises from the earth. In the distance, the desert hills appear almost hazy beneath the growing heat. The contrast between the green fields and the pale wilderness beyond becomes more striking with every hour. Here there is life. Water. Shade. Birdsong. There, silence stretches across endless sand and stone. The farmer feels grateful for the narrow ribbon of fertile land that the Nile has created. It is not wide. In many places, one can see the desert from the edge of the fields. Yet this narrow strip supports countless families, generation after generation. He returns to his work. The basket of weeds grows heavier. His hands become stained with green from crushed stems. A small butterfly lands briefly on one of the barley leaves before fluttering away. Tiny details fill the morning. Most will be forgotten by evening. Yet together they create the quiet beauty of an ordinary day. As the sun approaches the middle of the sky, the farmer looks across the valley once more. Smoke has disappeared from the village now. Breakfast is finished. The day's labor has fully begun. Dozens of people move slowly through the fields, each tending a small piece of the land. From a distance they seem almost like part of the landscape itself, woven together with the grain, the water, and the light. No king stands among them. No monument records their names. History may never remember this particular morning. Yet the bread baked tonight, the children fed tomorrow, and the harvest gathered months from now will all begin with these quiet hours beneath the gentle Egyptian sun, where ordinary hands continue the timeless work that has always sustained the valley of the Nile. I prefer this response. The morning settles into its steady rhythm. The freshness of dawn has slowly given way to the gentle warmth that comes before the heat of midday. Sunlight spreads evenly across the valley now, filling every corner of the fields with a soft golden glow. The Nile reflects the bright sky like polished glass, broken only by the slow passage of boats and the gentle circles made by fish rising briefly beneath the surface. The farmer moves carefully between the rows of grain. His shadow has grown shorter since sunrise. Each step is familiar. He knows where the ground becomes softer after irrigation. He knows where small stones hide beneath the loose soil. His feet have learned the language of this land through many years of quiet walking. A breeze passes across the barley. The heads of grain bow together before slowly rising again. The sound is almost like distant whispering. It is a sound the farmer has heard since he was a small child following behind his father. Even now, after many seasons, it still brings him a feeling of calm. He pauses beside one of the irrigation channels. The water is clear enough to reveal tiny fish swimming close to the muddy bottom. Small insects skate lightly across the surface, leaving delicate patterns that disappear almost as quickly as they are made. He reaches down and presses the damp earth along the edge of the canal. The mud is cool beneath his fingers. A small crack has appeared where yesterday's sun dried the bank. If ignored, the crack will grow. Water will slowly escape. The plants farther down the channel will receive less than they need. So he repairs it now. One handful of wet clay. Then another. He smooths the surface carefully with the palm of his hand until the bank feels strong once again. It is quiet work. No one notices it. Yet the field depends upon hundreds of small moments like this. The farmer stands. A heron lands gracefully near the water. Its long legs carry it through the shallow edge of the canal without making more than the smallest ripple. It remains perfectly still for several moments. Then, with surprising speed, its beak slips beneath the water. When it rises again, a tiny fish glitters briefly before disappearing from sight. The bird swallows its meal. Then it returns to waiting. Patience belongs not only to people. The valley itself seems to understand that most good things arrive slowly. Across the fields, voices drift gently through the morning air. Two women are gathering bundles of fresh herbs near the gardens. One speaks while the other listens. Their conversation rises and falls softly, carried by the breeze until the words themselves can no longer be heard. Only the peaceful sound remains. Nearby, an elderly farmer works beside his grandson. The older man's movements are slower now than they once were. His back bends carefully as he reaches toward the soil. The boy notices. Without being asked, he lifts the heavier basket and carries it to the next row. The old man smiles. He says nothing. The smile is enough. Many lessons pass quietly between generations. They do not require long speeches. Only shared work. Shared mornings. Shared seasons. The farmer remembers when his own father began depending upon him more often. At first, the changes were almost impossible to notice. His father asked him to carry an extra tool. Later, he trusted him to guide the donkey alone. Then one day, without ceremony, he handed him the wooden hoe and simply nodded toward the field. Nothing had been announced. No celebration had marked the moment. Responsibility had arrived as gently as sunrise. Now, many years later, he finds himself watching his own son with similar eyes. The boy still has much to learn. Yet each passing season adds another quiet layer of understanding. One day these fields will belong to him. The thought brings neither sadness nor pride. Only peace. The land has always passed from one pair of hands to another. The river continues flowing while generations come and go. A pair of donkeys approaches along the dusty road. Their baskets are filled with clay jars sealed carefully with woven lids. The merchant walking beside them keeps an easy pace. His sandals leave shallow prints in the fine dust. When he reaches the fields, he stops beneath the shade of a palm tree. The jars contain cool drinking water collected earlier that morning. Several farmers gather nearby for a brief rest. Each drinks slowly from a small cup before returning it with quiet thanks. The merchant smiles. His journey will continue to another village before noon. Water, like grain, is something meant to be shared. The farmer drinks a little. The coolness spreads through him. For a moment, he closes his eyes. The shade feels pleasant. Palm leaves sway gently overhead. Their shadows move slowly across the ground, dancing with the breeze. A dove lands nearby. It pecks at scattered seeds before lifting into the air again with a soft flutter of wings. Nothing in the valley seems eager. Even the birds move without haste. After a few moments, the farmer returns to his work. The sun has climbed higher. Warmth gathers steadily across the fields. Soon the hardest hours of the day will arrive. He decides to finish one more section before resting. His hoe breaks the surface of the soil with quiet, measured movements. The earth is loose here. Rich and dark from the last flood season. He thinks about the water that covered these fields many months ago. At that time the valley had looked entirely different. The river had spread across the land, leaving behind the fertile black silt that makes every harvest possible. The flood had slowly withdrawn. The ground had dried. Seeds had been planted. Now green life stretches in every direction. The cycle feels endless. Flood. Planting. Growing. Harvest. Rest. Then the river begins its work once more. The farmer has lived through this pattern every year of his life. He cannot imagine a different way of measuring time. Nearby, a group of children walks toward the river carrying empty baskets. Their task is simple. They will gather fresh reeds growing along the banks. The reeds will become mats for sleeping, baskets for carrying grain, and repairs for roofs before the next rainy season. One little girl stops to watch a bright blue kingfisher perched upon a branch above the canal. The bird dives suddenly into the water. A tiny splash. Then it rises again, carrying a silver fish that catches the sunlight for only a heartbeat. The child smiles with quiet wonder. She continues walking. Moments like these become small treasures carried inside memory. The farmer notices the same bird a little later. He watches it settle once more upon its branch. The valley offers countless little scenes to anyone willing to slow down enough to notice them. The movement of dragonflies above the water. The scent of crushed mint beneath a sandal. The cool touch of wet clay against tired hands. The distant laughter of children carried across the fields. None of these moments will appear upon the walls of temples. No scribe will carefully record them upon papyrus. Yet together they form the true rhythm of life beside the Nile. The sun now stands high above the eastern cliffs. The shadows beneath the palms grow small. Warm air begins shimmering above the fields. Workers naturally slow their pace, saving their strength for the long afternoon that still lies ahead. The farmer looks toward the village. From this distance the mud brick homes appear peaceful beneath the bright sky. Smoke no longer rises from the ovens. The morning meal has become only a pleasant memory. Soon, before long, families will pause once again beneath whatever shade they can find. But there is still a little work to finish before that quiet rest arrives. The farmer adjusts his grip upon the smooth wooden handle of his hoe. He smiles gently toward the field before him. Then, with the same patient care that has guided every day of his life, he takes another slow step forward beneath the warm Egyptian sun, while the timeless waters of the Nile continue their endless journey beside him, nourishing both the land and the quiet lives of those who call its fertile banks home. The sun continues its slow climb across the sky. Its light has become bright enough that every stone, every blade of grain, and every ripple upon the Nile seems clearly defined. The coolness of the early morning has almost disappeared now, replaced by the gentle warmth that promises a hotter afternoon still to come. The farmer wipes his forehead with the edge of his linen cloth. A few beads of sweat have gathered along his brow. They are not uncomfortable. They simply remind him that another day's work is well underway. He looks across the field once more before returning to the quiet rhythm of his labor. The wooden hoe slips into the earth. He loosens the soil around young plants with careful movements. He knows exactly how deep the blade should enter. Too shallow, and the weeds remain. Too deep, and the tender roots may suffer. Years have taught him to feel the difference through the handle alone. The tool has become almost like another part of his hands. Nearby, a pair of small sparrows hop between the rows. They search patiently for seeds scattered upon the ground. One finds a tiny insect and quickly flies toward a nearby palm. The other remains behind, tilting its head as though listening to the quiet sounds beneath the soil. The farmer smiles softly. These little birds have shared the fields with people for as long as anyone remembers. Neither seems troubled by the other's presence. The earth provides enough for both. The breeze begins to fade. For a while, the barley stands almost perfectly still. Without the movement of the wind, the valley becomes quieter than before. The loudest sound is now the slow splash of water flowing through the irrigation channels. It slips around gentle bends, brushing against reeds and the smooth banks of packed mud. The sound is never exactly the same. Some places produce a soft murmur. Others create tiny bubbling notes where the current passes over small stones. The farmer has listened to these sounds throughout his life. He notices immediately if something changes. A blocked channel. A broken bank. A fallen branch. Water always tells its own story to those willing to listen. Farther along the path, two young boys carry bundles of fresh-cut reeds. The bundles are nearly as tall as they are. Each boy walks carefully so the reeds do not drag upon the ground. They laugh quietly together after one bundle slips slightly from its rope. They stop. Adjust the weight. Then continue without complaint. Hard work becomes easier when shared. The farmer remembers carrying reeds with his older brother many years ago. The path had seemed much longer then. The bundles much heavier. Now those memories feel gentle, softened by time. His brother has his own family in another nearby village. They see one another whenever the markets are held or during the great festivals. Though they no longer work side by side every day, the memories of childhood remain clear. The smell of fresh reeds. The warmth of the sun. The muddy banks of the river beneath bare feet. Some memories stay bright no matter how many seasons pass. The farmer kneels beside another irrigation gate. A little silt has gathered where the water enters the field. Using both hands, he scoops away the soft mud and places it upon the bank. Immediately the current becomes stronger. Clear water flows freely once again. Tiny fish dart past his fingers before disappearing into deeper water. The coolness feels pleasant against his skin. For a moment he leaves one hand beneath the surface. The river's gift reaches every field through these simple channels. Without them, the richest soil would soon become dry beneath the Egyptian sun. The work of maintaining them never truly ends. Each season brings fresh repairs. Each flood reshapes the land a little. The people accept this as naturally as they accept the changing sky. Nothing remains exactly the same. Yet everything continues. Across the valley, a potter's donkey appears along the road. Its baskets are filled with newly fired jars wrapped carefully in straw. The potter walks beside the animal with slow, measured steps. Now and then he reaches into one basket to check that the jars remain safely packed. Clay is strong after firing, yet careless travel can still bring disappointment. Each jar represents many hours of patient work. Digging the clay. Mixing it with water. Shaping it upon the wheel. Drying it beneath the sun. Feeding the kiln with wood and reeds. Waiting as the fire slowly transforms soft earth into something that may serve a family for many years. The farmer watches until the potter disappears behind a line of palms. Every craft follows its own quiet rhythm. Just as fields ask for patience, so does clay. Near the edge of the village, a woman hangs freshly washed linen upon a simple rope stretched between two wooden posts. The cloth moves gently in the light breeze that has begun to return. The white fabric shines brightly beneath the sun. Soon it will dry completely. Later it will be folded carefully and placed inside woven baskets to keep it clean. Simple tasks fill every hour of the day. None seem especially important by themselves. Together they create the peaceful order of village life. The farmer straightens slowly. His back reminds him that he is no longer a young man. The ache is familiar. Not sharp. Only steady. He stretches his shoulders toward the sky. The movement eases the tightness little by little. Nearby, another farmer notices. He smiles knowingly. Both men understand without speaking. Years of work leave gentle marks upon every laborer's body. Hands become rough. Shoulders broaden. Faces grow darker beneath the sun. These changes are accepted with quiet dignity. They are signs of seasons honestly lived. The air grows warmer. A dragonfly hovers above the canal, its delicate wings shining like thin sheets of glass. It darts suddenly toward a tiny insect. Then just as quickly it returns to its place above the water. The farmer watches for a few moments. Nature is filled with quiet patience. Even the smallest creatures seem perfectly suited to their place. The scent of warm earth rises more strongly now. It mixes with the fragrance of crushed herbs growing beside the canal. Somewhere nearby, wild mint has spread along the damp ground. Each passing footstep releases a gentle freshness into the air. The farmer breathes deeply. There is comfort in familiar scents. They become part of memory. Long after a season has ended, a single fragrance can return an old morning to the mind. The sound of distant voices drifts from the village. Someone calls gently to a child. A woman laughs softly while drawing water from a well. A donkey answers with a patient bray. Soon afterward everything becomes quiet again. No sound lasts very long here. Each rises, fades, then gives way to another. Like ripples upon the river. The farmer notices the sun once more. It is nearly overhead now. The shadows beneath his feet have become short and faint. The hottest part of the day is approaching. He knows it without needing to measure the hours. His body has learned the language of light. He decides to finish one final row before resting beneath the sycamore tree that stands near the edge of the field. Its broad branches have offered welcome shade since his grandfather's youth. Many conversations have taken place beneath those leaves. Many meals have been shared there. Many tired workers have closed their eyes for a few peaceful moments before returning to the fields. The tree waits patiently, just as it always has. The farmer walks toward it at his usual unhurried pace. The warm breeze brushes gently across the grain behind him. The Nile continues its quiet song beyond the reeds. And another peaceful morning in ancient Egypt slowly gives way to the calm stillness of midday, where the rhythm of work softens, the valley grows quiet beneath the brilliant sun, and ordinary lives continue to unfold with the same gentle patience that has shaped the banks of the Nile for countless generations. The sun stands high above the valley. Its light falls almost straight down upon the fields, leaving only the smallest shadows beneath the palms and the sycamore trees. The warmth that had gently gathered throughout the morning has now become steady and deep, settling over the land like a quiet blanket. The farmer reaches the old sycamore. Its wide branches spread generously above the edge of the field, offering a pool of cool shade that many workers have shared through the years. The rough bark bears countless marks left by time. Small birds nest among the higher branches, hidden safely behind thick green leaves. He places his wooden hoe carefully against the trunk. The smooth handle has grown darker where his hands have held it through many seasons. Tiny scratches cover its surface, each one a small memory of ordinary work. He lowers himself onto the ground with an easy, practiced movement. The earth beneath the tree is pleasantly cool. The roots rise gently through the soil, creating natural places to lean against while resting. He settles comfortably and lets out a slow breath. For several quiet moments he simply listens. The leaves overhead whisper whenever the breeze finds its way through the branches. Somewhere close by, a dove coos softly from its hidden perch. The water flowing through the nearby irrigation canal continues its peaceful song, never growing tired, never asking for praise. The farmer closes his eyes. He does not fall asleep. He only allows his thoughts to become still. The warmth upon his face. The coolness beneath his hands. The steady breathing of the valley around him. All of it feels familiar. Across the shade, another farmer arrives carrying a clay water jar. The two men greet each other with quiet smiles. The newcomer lowers himself onto the ground and removes the woven stopper from the jar. Cool water waits inside. He pours a little into a small cup made from fired clay and offers it to his companion. The farmer accepts it with a grateful nod. The water tastes fresh. A little coolness lingers from the thick walls of the jar, which have protected it from the growing heat. He drinks slowly. There is no reason to hurry. Even water seems sweeter when taken with patience. The second farmer sighs softly. It will be a warm afternoon. It will, the farmer replies. They both smile. Nothing more needs to be said. The sun speaks for itself. Silence returns between them. It is a comfortable silence. One built from years of working neighboring fields. There is no need to fill every quiet moment with conversation. The valley itself provides enough company. A gentle wind arrives from the river. It moves through the branches above their heads, carrying with it the clean scent of water and damp reeds. The leaves shimmer for a few moments before becoming still once again. Tiny patches of sunlight dance across the ground. The farmer watches them move. Light and shadow drift slowly across the roots of the sycamore. Nothing remains exactly where it was. Even stillness contains gentle movement. Not far away, several women have gathered beneath another tree. Each carries a woven basket. Inside are simple midday meals prepared before sunrise. Flat bread wrapped in linen. Onions. Dates. Soft cheese made from goat's milk. A few figs picked from nearby trees. One woman breaks a piece of bread and offers it to the youngest child sitting beside her. The little boy accepts it with both hands. He smiles shyly before taking a careful bite. The adults continue speaking quietly. Their voices blend softly with the breeze. Nearby, two older girls sit together weaving fresh reeds into a sleeping mat. Their fingers move with surprising speed. One reed crosses another. Then another. The pattern slowly grows beneath their hands. Neither girl needs to think about each movement. The rhythm has become part of them through many afternoons spent watching mothers, grandmothers, and older sisters. The finished mat will rest upon the floor of someone's home for many years. Perhaps a child will sleep upon it. Perhaps an elder. Perhaps a guest welcomed into the house during festival days. Simple things often carry quiet importance. The farmer finishes his water and returns the cup. His companion places it carefully beside the jar. They remain seated together beneath the shade. Across the fields, work has nearly stopped for a little while. The oxen stand quietly beneath simple shelters made from reeds. Their tails move lazily to brush away flies. One lowers its head to chew patiently upon dry straw. The donkeys rest with folded legs beneath the shade of a palm. Even the birds seem less active. Many have disappeared into the thick leaves where the air is cooler. The valley has entered its slowest hour. The farmer looks toward the Nile. From this distance the river shines brilliantly beneath the overhead sun. A single boat drifts quietly along the current. Its square sail hangs almost still. The breeze is too gentle to fill it completely. Instead, the boatman uses a long steering oar, guiding the vessel with patient movements. There is no urgency. The river will carry him where he needs to go. Beyond the water, the western desert rises quietly beneath the bright sky. The cliffs appear pale and almost white in the afternoon light. The desert seems endless. Yet the farmer rarely thinks about crossing it. His world is here. The river, the fields, the village, his family. These are more than enough. The shade grows wonderfully comfortable. The cool earth beneath the sycamore seems to draw away the weariness gathered during the morning. The farmer leans back against the trunk. Its bark is rough against his shoulder. He can almost feel the age of the tree itself. Perhaps it was already standing when he was born. Perhaps his father rested beneath these same branches. Perhaps even his grandfather shared bread here during another warm afternoon many years ago. The thought brings him quiet comfort. Some things remain. People grow older. Children become parents. Harvests come and go. Yet the sycamore continues offering its shade to anyone who needs it. A tiny lizard appears from between the roots. It pauses upon a warm stone. Its small chest rises and falls quickly. For a few moments it watches the quiet gathering beneath the tree. Then it disappears into another crack between the roots. The farmer smiles. The little creature seems perfectly at home. Like every living thing beside the Nile. The breeze strengthens just enough to stir the hanging branches once more. A few dry leaves drift slowly downward. One lands gently beside the farmer's sandal. He picks it up. Its edges are curled from the sun. Its color has faded from deep green to soft brown. He turns it over in his fingers before letting it fall back to the earth. Soon it will become part of the soil. Nothing is wasted. Even fallen leaves return quietly to the land. The farmer's companion stands. It is almost time. The farmer nods. The hardest heat has begun to ease, though only slightly. Soon the fields will welcome their careful footsteps once more. They lift their tools. Brush the dust gently from their linen garments. Take one final drink of cool water. Then, without hurry, they step back into the warm afternoon light, where the patient work of tending the fertile earth continues beneath the timeless Egyptian sky, accompanied always by the quiet, faithful waters of the Nile flowing gently beside them. The afternoon begins again with quiet determination. The rest beneath the sycamore has refreshed the farmer's body, though the warmth of the day still rests heavily upon the valley. The sun has begun the slow journey toward the western sky, but its light remains bright, shining across the fields with a steady glow. The farmer walks back into the grain. Each step carries him between rows that have become as familiar as the rooms of his own home. The earth feels warm beneath his sandals. The dry surface crumbles gently with each careful footstep, while just below it the soil remains cool where water has recently passed through the irrigation channels. He bends once more. The wooden hoe enters the ground with a quiet sound. Loose soil gathers around the roots of the young plants. The movement is smooth, comfortable, almost peaceful. His muscles remember every motion. There is no need to think about where to place his hands. Years of practice have quietly shaped each gesture. Nearby, the neighboring farmer has also returned to his work. From time to time the two men glance toward one another. A simple nod. A brief smile. Then both continue. The companionship is gentle. Neither feels alone, even though long stretches pass without a single word. The valley has always been filled with this quiet understanding. People work beside one another. Sometimes speaking. Sometimes silent. Always sharing the same sun, the same river, and the same patient rhythm of the seasons. A dragonfly circles above the irrigation canal. Its delicate wings catch the afternoon light, shining with shades of blue and green that seem almost too bright for such a tiny creature. It hovers for a moment over the water before darting away toward another patch of reeds. The farmer watches it disappear. There is beauty here that asks for no attention. It simply exists. A small breeze arrives from the river. It carries the cool scent of flowing water across the warm fields. The barley responds immediately. Thousands of slender stalks bend together like gentle waves moving across a quiet sea. The sound is soft. A long whisper that rolls slowly from one end of the valley to the other. The farmer pauses only long enough to enjoy it. Then he returns to his task. Farther down the path, an elderly woman walks carefully with a basket balanced upon her head. Inside are freshly baked loaves wrapped in clean linen cloth. The bread is meant for her daughter, whose family works in fields closer to the river. The basket is not light. Still, she carries it with steady confidence. She has made this walk many times before. When she reaches the workers, smiling faces greet her. The children run first. Their small hands eagerly accept the warm bread. One little girl breathes deeply, enjoying the familiar smell before carefully tearing away a tiny piece. The grandmother laughs softly. The sound drifts across the quiet fields before fading into the warm afternoon air. The farmer cannot hear the words they speak. He does not need to. Their happiness is clear enough. The simple sharing of food brings comfort after long hours beneath the sun. He remembers his own mother making the same journey when he was young. She would arrive carrying bread, dates, and cool water in clay jars wrapped with damp cloth to keep them fresh. He remembers waiting eagerly for her familiar figure to appear along the dusty path. The memory feels close today. Almost close enough to touch. He smiles without realizing it. Time moves quietly. The afternoon grows older. The shadows of the palms stretch a little farther across the ground. The heat begins to soften, though only by the smallest amount. A pair of white ibises crosses the sky overhead. Their long wings move with slow, graceful strokes. They glide toward the marshes where shallow water gathers among thick reeds. Soon they disappear beyond the riverbank. The farmer lifts another small clump of weeds from the earth. He shakes the soil gently from their roots before placing them into the basket. The basket is nearly full now. Later, the weeds will dry beneath the sun. Some may become food for animals. Others will simply return to the earth. Very little in the village is without purpose. Even unwanted plants find a quiet use. A faint sound comes from the direction of the river. The steady splash of wooden oars. The farmer looks up. A broad cargo boat is making its way along the Nile. Its sail hangs loosely in the light breeze, while several men guide it with long oars. The vessel sits low in the water beneath the weight of its cargo. Large baskets. Clay jars. Bundles wrapped carefully in woven mats. Perhaps grain harvested farther upstream. Perhaps stone from distant quarries. Perhaps linen woven by skilled hands in another town. The farmer wonders for a moment where the boat began its journey. He wonders where it will stop before nightfall. Then his thoughts return gently to the field before him. His own work is here. His own journey begins and ends beside this familiar land. Not every life needs distant travel. Some lives grow deep roots in one peaceful place. Near the irrigation channel, two boys kneel beside the water. One carefully fills a clay jar. The other watches tiny fish swimming among the reeds. They laugh quietly whenever a fish changes direction so quickly that it almost disappears. Their laughter carries across the field like birdsong. The farmer remembers spending afternoons exactly the same way. Children find wonder easily. A fish. A feather. A smooth stone warmed by the sun. Small discoveries become treasured memories. The water inside the canal flows steadily onward. The farmer notices a few floating leaves gathering against a narrow bend. He walks over and gently clears them away with a stick. Immediately the current moves more freely. The leaves continue downstream. The water resumes its quiet journey toward another field waiting patiently beyond. Such small tasks fill much of every day. One loose stone. One fallen branch. One cracked bank. One blocked channel. Each repaired before becoming a larger problem. The valley teaches that careful attention today often prevents hardship tomorrow. The sun lowers a little more. Its light grows richer now, changing from bright white to warm gold. The fields seem to glow softly beneath it. Even the mud brick houses in the distance begin taking on deeper colors. Children's voices drift once again from the village. Some have finished their own small chores and now play beneath the shade of the palms. Others help carry water or gather kindling for the evening fires. Every member of the village has a place within the day's gentle rhythm. No task is too small. No helping hand goes unnoticed. The farmer straightens slowly, placing one hand against the small of his back. He looks across the field. The work accomplished since morning is easy to see now. The irrigation channels flow smoothly. The weeds have been cleared. The young grain stands clean and healthy beneath the afternoon sun. He feels no great pride. Only quiet satisfaction. This is enough. Another ordinary afternoon has been well spent. He brushes a little dust from his hands. A soft breeze touches his face once more. Far away, the Nile glimmers beneath the lowering sun, carrying boats, birds, floating reeds, and the gentle reflections of drifting clouds, while the peaceful valley continues its timeless rhythm, one patient hour at a time, beneath the endless sky of ancient Egypt. The afternoon slowly becomes evening once more. The sun drifts lower toward the western horizon, and its warm light stretches across the fields in long bands of gold. Every stalk of barley seems to glow for a little while before the colors begin to soften. The irrigation channels reflect the sky like quiet ribbons of bronze, carrying the faithful waters of the Nile gently onward. The farmer stands at the edge of his field. He looks across the land that has shaped nearly every day of his life. Nothing remarkable has happened today. No great monument has been raised. No battle has been fought. No royal procession has crossed the valley. There has only been bread baked before sunrise, water carried with careful hands, grain tended beneath the warm sun, quiet conversations shared beneath a sycamore tree, and another peaceful evening returning to the banks of the Nile. Yet perhaps this is where the true story of ancient Egypt has always lived. Not only inside towering temples or carved stone. Not only within the names of kings carefully written upon monuments. It lived here. In the soft footprints left upon dusty paths. In hands roughened by honest work. In families gathering together as the day's light faded. In simple homes built from earth beside the river that gave life to them all. As the farmer begins the familiar walk home, the breeze carries the comforting scent of fresh bread rising once again from the village ovens. Smoke curls gently into the evening sky. Children's laughter grows quieter as they return indoors. Goats settle into their shelters. Donkeys lower their heads after another patient day. The birds search for their favorite branches, where they will rest until morning. The farmer reaches his doorway. His daughter greets him with a warm smile. His son carefully takes the wooden hoe from his shoulder, just as he has begun doing each evening. His wife welcomes him with the peaceful comfort of a home that asks for nothing more than kindness, patience, and another shared meal. Together they eat beneath the gentle glow of an oil lamp. Simple bread. Warm lentils. Fresh onions. Cool water from a clay jar. No feast could feel richer than food shared after a day of quiet labor. Outside, the last colors of sunset slowly disappear. The sky deepens from gold to violet, and then to a peaceful blue filled with countless stars. One by one, the lamps inside the village grow dim. Doors close softly. Voices fade into whispers. The valley settles into silence once again. The farmer steps outside for a final moment. He walks toward the river, where the Nile continues its endless journey beneath the moonlight. Its waters move with the same calm purpose they carried thousands of years before his birth. They will continue flowing long after future generations walk these same banks. He kneels beside the water. His fingers touch the cool current. The river asks for nothing. It simply flows. Patient. Faithful. Enduring. A breeze stirs the reeds. Their quiet rustling blends with the gentle murmur of the current until it becomes difficult to tell where one sound ends and the other begins. Above, the stars seem brighter than ever. The same stars watched over farmers before him. They will watch over children not yet born. They shine without hurry. Without noise. Without asking to be remembered. The farmer rises slowly and returns to his home. Inside, his family is already asleep. The small fire has faded into glowing embers. He lies down upon his woven reed mat. The familiar fibers support his tired body. The mud brick walls hold the last gentle warmth of the day. His breathing becomes slow. Outside, the Nile continues singing its quiet song through the darkness. The palms whisper softly in the night breeze. An owl glides silently across the moonlit fields. Somewhere among the reeds, a frog calls once before all becomes still again. The valley rests. The fields rest. The village rests. And the ordinary people whose quiet hands shaped the life of ancient Egypt rest as well, wrapped in the same peaceful night that has settled over this fertile river for thousands upon thousands of years. As the stars continue their silent journey across the sky, history itself seems to grow wonderfully quiet. The names of kings may fade. Stone may wither. Temples may crumble beneath the passing centuries. Yet the gentle rhythm of simple lives, the baking of bread before dawn, the careful tending of fields, the sharing of water, the kindness between neighbors, and the faithful return of each sunrise over the Nile remains one of the truest stories ever carried through time. Now the river flows softly into the darkness. The wind grows lighter. The stars shine peacefully overhead. And ancient Egypt, wrapped in the calm embrace of another quiet night beside the timeless Nile, slowly drifts into silence.